Okay. I believe we're, can you hear this, people? That sounds okay? I believe we're ready to start. I would like to, first of all, welcome you to the April 9, 2021 regular meeting of the Barefoot Bay Recreation District Board of Trustees. We will start the meeting to take a moment of silence to recognize and honor those individuals who work tirelessly to protect our country and our individual welfare, security, and safety. This includes members of the armed services, police, firefighters, and especially our healthcare workers. A moment of silence. Thank you. That's really loud. Is it feedback? Okay. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance. I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Gruno, would you please take the roll?
Okay. Mr. Loveland. Ooh. Here. Mr. Gruno here. Mr. Morrissey. Here. Mr. Nugent. Here. Mr. Mino.
Here.
We also have with us today, we have John Coffey, our community manager. We have Cindy, our deputy clerk. We have Krista Runt, who is our deputy counsel. And we also have Rich Armington from Resident Relations, Ernie Cruz from the golf course, Kathy Mendez from Food and Beverage, and Charles Henley from Finances. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Agenda. Do we have any additions, deletions to the agenda? No. I do have an addition. I would like to, it'll be a short discussion item. I would like to make 9H a discussion, legal services. We will not be taking any action on anything, but it will be just to bring up the item. Is there, I guess, I think I can make a motion. I would make a motion to add that to the agenda. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Morrissey. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? No, motion passed. So that'll be 9H, discussion, legal services. Approval of the minutes. In your packet, you have the BOT regular meeting minutes dated March 23rd, 2021. We have the budget workshop minutes dated March 16th, 2021, and March 25, 2021. Does anyone have any corrections or deletions or additions to those minutes? If not, I would ask for a motion to approve all 3 minutes as presented. Mr. Nugent moved. Second. Mr. Morrissey, second. All those in favor signify. Discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Treasury report, Mr. Loveland.
This is the Barefoot Bay Treasury report dated April 9th, 2021. Cash balances, petty cash, $2,500. Operating cash in banks, $3,092,355.59. Interest-bearing accounts, $699,364.48. Total cash available, general fund, $3,794,220.07. Daily deposits, $82,324.41. Assessments received 0. Total deposits received $82,324.41. Expenditures for 3/16 through 3/31 over $5,000. $6,600 on utility sheds. $26,205.71 for employee health insurance. $13,595.75 for management fees. $9,581 legal fees, $5,303.44 electricity. Net payroll, $58,594.61. Payroll taxes, $17,748.76. Net payroll, $60,272.53. Total expenditures over $5,000, $197,901.80. Expenditures under $5,000, $46,234.57 for total expenditures of $244,136.37. I submit the treasurer's report.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report and approve the payment of bills?
Move to accept and pay bills.
Mr. Gruno moves. Second? Seconded by Mr. Nugent. Any other discussion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is audience participation. Two things, if you people would please remember, we have quite a few people today. In the past, we normally don't, we're not real sticklers for the 3 minutes, but you know, when we get a lot of people going to speak, we do wish you to hold it to the 3 minutes, which is our rule. When you get up, please say your name and your address. I apologize ahead of time for not getting your names right, so I'll try to read them out to you. First on the list, and I'm having you come up in the order I received these notes. First name is Jeffrey Vieira. Push the button there, the green button.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeffrey Vieira. I live at 809 Litchi Drive. And first, I'd like to thank you all for allowing me to speak here today and hope that you will keep an open mind and unbiased opinion. I came here to speak about the complaint of running my RC boat in the East Side Pond. However, I'd like to give a little background insight on how I got into running the boats. Had a debilitating injury at work back in 2015. This led to surgeries and the inability to do things that I love the most. I was forced to sell my motorcycles, four-wheelers, snowmobiles. I suffered from severe depression, as I also had to give up my career as a welder. My wife and I decided that Florida would be a good for my back, as the weather is much milder than up north, and I was unable to tolerate the winters there. I am much better now, but I am still limited on things that I can do recreationally. I'm unable to play golf, lawn bowling, or any other activities that this community has to offer. Instead, I got into RC boating. I only ran the boats for about 30 minutes a day on average, 2 days a week, not before 11 a.m. In that time, I had many people stop and ask me questions about the boats and just sit in their golf carts and watch. I was asked if I came at a set time so that those people could come by whenever. I am there to watch. It drew a crowd. I loved the enjoyment that this brought to others. Some have stated that this is just a toy. It may be to them, but to me, this is my therapy. To me, it is a way to kill a little time and meet people and start a conversation. The boats do bring others enjoyment, which is shown by the outcry of support that I have received. My only request is that I am allowed to run the boats a couple days a week, even if it's at a set time. I would leave that up to your discretion. Last, I would like to address the no trespass order that I was told I would receive if I did not desist on my running boats. I've never been in trouble with the law, and I respect our law enforcement. However, I think this was a little excessive and complete misuse of our law enforcement time and energy, not to mention mine and other taxpayer dollars. times are changing, folks. I don't think any of us in this room today would ever thought that we'd be living through a pandemic. So I would like to thank you again for hearing me out today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. James, I'm not sure how you pronounce your last name. I apologize. What's that?
Hello, I'm James Sukenik, 1103 Oriole Circle. And this whole issue has brought up a couple of questions. First of all, I know that... I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. It brings up some other issues regarding use of common property. You know, to be threatened with a trespass order, to be using a community, common community property, being the lakes, being open fields, things of that nature. There's people, you know, to be threatened with a trespass order where we have a common interest under the HOA by payment of our dues to use those. Are we then limited by the whim of someone who wants to complain about it if they don't agree with the activity that you're doing? I know people that have drones that go behind RJ's restaurant, and there are FAA rules regarding the use and proximity to other properties, and most responsible hobbyists will respect those. In this case, you've got a lake, you know, whether it's the lake by Pool 1 or where there's very few residential properties abutting, what are the limitations? You know, somebody said, well, there's no motorized vehicles. Well, I think we have to have clarification on the intent of that rule. Is no motorized vehicles, meaning that you don't want a 7-horse motor spewing gas and oil, or is a motorized vehicle an electric model boat? You know, so I think we need to have some common sense and get some clarification, number one, on are we allowed to use the common properties that we pay dues for? And number two, where does common sense end? And, you know, to have the sheriff show up for a model boat, to me, is a little excessive. But I think I would be in support of use of the common areas by the residents, and certainly by paying our dues, we have the right to use those, whether it be for fishing, whether it be for motorized boats, drones, flying a kite, without the threat of someone who, at their whim, that doesn't like our activity, to call the office, who then seriously, to me, if I was taking that call at the office, I would say, okay, common sense says he's not doing any harm. Why should we call the sheriff? But in this case, and I see the time, in this case, you know, common sense should have prevailed. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, too. I just can't see it up there, so I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No problem.
Thank you. Jerry Simon?
Hi, my name's Jerry Simon, live at 918 Sequoia Street. I'm new to the area. My wife and I purchased the house 2 years ago. And in them 2 years, I met a lot of nice people in the Bay here, and I get different discussions with everybody, whether it's about the lounge, the 19th hole. Some people don't like to golf, some people don't like to swim, some people don't like to go to the beach. However, they're all amenities and are of value to everyone's property here. And I really don't know where we're at right now with the restrooms at the beach, but I think that would be very, very important to every person that lives in this community. Along with reopening after this pandemic was a horrible thing to the whole nation. However, there were some bright spots to it. Interest rates are at the lowest. It's pretty much free money to go get a loan nowadays. At 1.75%, it's practically free money. And not to take advantage of that with all the issues you have in the Bay here would be horrible. You need new roof, new air conditioning in the small shopping center. You need repairs done on the golf course. You need restrooms at the beach. You obviously need some service done to two of the pools out of 3 that need some help. And to just sit there and say, no, we're not in favor of doing that, I think is a big mistake, because you're losing a good advantage to get a lot of the projects that have been going on for years and years and years. I've been here 2 years, but I speak to people that lived here for 10 years, and they just laugh and they go, that's been going on for 10 years. I don't understand why we keep doing that. It's an increase in the value of everybody's home. Everybody's home. I don't understand how we can keep postponing this year after year after year. And this is, sadly, but the pandemic was a bright spot, that this is the time to do it, when you can go and borrow money at practically free. You're never in, there's nobody here in their lifetime that's seen interest rates as low as they are today, and I doubt you'll ever see it again. And again, I don't know where we're at with the restrooms at the beach and the pools getting fixed, and I'm hoping to learn that as we go on today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just so people know, you know, we may make a couple comments as we go, but just so you know, all of those, every single issue you've talked about has been discussed at budget workshops, which we've had 2 or 3 of them already in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Just so you know, we've had those. Okay.
Well, again, I don't know if I'm out of time here or not, but I watched one of your workshops online, and you introduced everyone, because I'm assuming we have new trustees here. And you went around and said, before we even get started, I'd like to know where everybody stands on these issues. You went through every issue, and every person sitting here said, I agree, I agree, I agree.
And again, we don't want to get into discussion, but that was when we started. We've had budget workshops in the last couple of weeks that we've discussed all those issues.
I watched.
Okay.
And by the end of the meeting, though, everybody disagreed.
Thank you.
But it started out, everybody agreed. Thank you.
I'm sorry, again, Carmelin? Okay. Is that how we say it, Carmelin? You got it right. Jansen? I was a teacher at one time, but I wasn't a very good teacher.
Very good today. Hi, Carmelin Jansen, 513 Citron. I'm here about the RC boats. My husband builds them, sells them. They're electric. The boat will die if it gets water onto the batteries. They're easy to get out of the water with a fishing pole. They're no harm. My husband goes there, and many people also go and enjoy this, young and old. Okay, there's really nothing wrong with this. You can come out and watch it. You can come out and ask my husband to run one for you. It's not gas. It's a little RC with a little remote control. So I really think this is something that you really should get involved in, a club, whatever. And my husband's 100% for this. He will do whatever he has to get it started. But, you know, there's really nothing. And there should be no reason why somebody's coming after an individual for it. All you have to do is let the person know that you come to a meeting, get it started, whatever. But I'm really in for it. My husband's in for it. And like I say, we build them. We have probably over 20 of them. And then you go into RC cars, too. Are you going to tell my husband he can't run an RC car on a park area? It goes into many things that are RC. They're all battery operated. They're all remote controlled. So I think you really should be thinking about it.
Thank you. Lori Limacher?
Close enough.
I'm trying.
My name is Lori Limisher. I live at 804 Leachy, and I'm here to speak in favor of the RC boats. So many people have enjoyed watching them. My dad wouldn't leave the pond until the boats were out of the water, and I was starving. I was saying, come on, Dad, let's go. Nope, not done yet. It was something to be happy and joyous. It's good, clean fun. And like they were saying, people were driving around the pond and stopping and saying, wow, that's so cool. I wanted to try it, but I didn't want to break them, so, you know. But it's just, I think more people enjoyed it than didn't. And sometimes we have to overlook the lemons. Sometimes I know not everybody's going to like something. Never, ever, ever, everybody going to be happy. I'm not that naive. However, it's a fun, pure, clean thing for everybody to do, from 3 to 99 or 100 on the Smucker's jar. Everybody enjoyed it that I saw. They really, really, truly did. So my family and I, and I've got 3 of us here, we're all in favor of the boats, and we would like to have it on the schedule so that we can watch them when they come. But I really do hope that you rethink the situation, because it was something that everybody enjoyed, that I saw, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Shirley Barrett.
Good afternoon. Shirley Barrett, 918 Dogwood Drive. I bought my property approximately 5 years ago, and I'm here seasonal. But my concern is every time I come down here, I hear rumors in the pool and people just talking. There's always something broken down and never fixed. They're complaining about the kitchen down there, that it's over a year and nobody's getting it done. The pool's been broken with the heater. There's different comments coming out about that it was the heater, then it was a chip that came in wrong and it's going back. It just seems like when things break down, it takes forever to get fixed. I know COVID was a big thing, but the restaurant alone, I mean, you're open from 11 to 3 for lunch, but then you're not open anymore. There's people in there sitting all at the bar, packed one by one, so COVID doesn't matter to them, but yet you're not serving food to the people. I just think it's a little crazy right now. I don't know if it's the expense of it. Then I heard a rumor that it might not open at all after 3, or it might even close down. So that's my concerns. I want to know where you're going with these things, and why does it take so long to get them corrected with problems, just like Pool 2, the one that's down. I don't know if that's Pool 2 or 3. Everybody's complaining about that. Like, why isn't it opening? The inspection's wrong. It comes in. Well, if you hire somebody to do an inspection or hire to do the job, they should know that it should be done properly in the right way, that you don't have these problems after. So they are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeannie? Jeannie Osborne?
Don't move as fast as I used to. Jean Osborne, 100 Cherokee Court. I was really appalled to hear that someone had called the sheriff about a man who had a boat by remote control in our lake. Shame on whoever did it. This is simply unimaginable to me. This is a new experience for all of us to see a remotely controlled boat in our lake. Perhaps we need to set rules. There's not a problem with that, and I'm sure the gentleman who was running the boat would be more than happy to oblige. Could we perhaps set up that you will sign in before you start your running of your boat for that day? There's no reason in God's world that these people cannot enjoy the lake as well as any of the other amenities that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. Bev Jelinas?
Beverly Jelinas, 702 Silverthorne Court. I'm also here about the RV boats. I see no problem with them running on a lake or a pond or even a canal if the guy wants to run them up at the canal. He's not harming anything. He's not polluting the water. That's already polluted. And that's my opinion of it. I have not been to see them. I don't know what they look like, and I probably never will. But the man lives here. He should have a right to use the lake for his boat, and he's not even in it. The other thing is, Pool 2 has been closed too darn long, and it's about time somebody fixes it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that didn't turn in a slip? Okay, I have a little note here, and I can't read all the names, but I'll just read it. It says, "We, the Pompano Court and Manatee neighbors, think that they should be able to use the lake behind us for playing with their remote control boats." And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 signatures here. Linda, Eunice, Gary, Jeannie, Bert, Ted. I can't read them all. So again, we have that, and I have it in the record. Any other people for public participation? If not, then just a comment. And again, we get a lot of criticisms because it says we don't answer comments and audience participation, and we don't do that. We don't get in discussions, but just a couple things so you understand just a couple of things. Number one, when you talk about the sheriff coming and the trespass, that's simply a mechanism that is used by us, by the Bay, when there is something you need to do to stop something. So for instance, if we have somebody who's causing a disturbance in a lounge, it's called no trespass. We found no trespass against them. It's a way to stop that. If someone disrupted this meeting, the sheriff would come in, it would be a no trespass. So just so you understand it, it sounds bad, but that's the mechanism used to stop something, okay? The other thing is that, again, somebody said HOA, this is not an HOA. We will, I'm sure in the future, there's been a lot of comments about this. I'm sure in the future at some point we will look at this. Oh, I forgot, the second point of it was you have to remember that the action we're taking is in accordance with the DOR. So the DOR specifically states what things can and cannot happen. You cannot just do one thing and then not another thing. But I'm sure this will be something we will look at, and maybe something has to be changed there as we go on with the board. But for right now, that's the reason these things happen. Okay? With that, audience participation is closed. Unfinished business, phased reopening discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, trustees, residents gathered here and at home. This is our regular discussion revolving possible further reopenings that we have done for the past year. As in the agenda memo, staff has two major recommendations. One is to resume limited weeknight outside entertainment, starting firstly with karaoke on Thursday nights, bar service only, and then effective, and that would start April 22nd. Then effective May 1, staff recommends increasing all capacities of buildings to 75%. I've included in the agenda memo what the current proposed full is. It doesn't translate well into the agenda packet. This would reopen the card room, and for example, the current capacity of this building is 50. The normal capacity is 136. Our proposal would bring capacity up to 102. And the lounge would go from 60 to 89, 19th hole 51 to 76. And the admin conference room is listed as 10 to 16. That fluctuates. If there's an evening use of the admin building, it's actually 35 because there's no staff in the rest of the building. Myself and Ms. Mendes are here if you have any specific questions.
Excuse me. Okay, trustees, you've heard the report on the opening conditions. There are two recommendations. One recommendation, as you heard, resume weeknight entertainment lakeside or the lounge effective April 22nd, outside only, karaoke, etc. The other is opening, as John told you, on May 1st, 2021. You have it in your agenda packet. Is there a motion to accept this recommendation?
Move to accept the recommendation.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Morrissey. Discussion. Yes, go ahead.
There's any other groups that are able to use the D&E building besides the besides the card room, or not card room, I'm sorry, the D&E room. Yeah, we're talking about the bingo, people that requested
In Building
when
A?
they're going to open that bingo, the
Yeah,
musical bingo.
That's Building A. That's in Building A.
That's only in Building A?
In Building A, and we don't have that open, Building A.
Now, music bingo is a food and beverage production.
Yeah.
Normally, that is in cooperation with the kitchen, serving food ahead of time. That is one thing that Ms. Mendez and I have talked about. We'd like to see how receptive the residents are to the karaoke on Thursday nights, and if that goes well, either bringing back music bingo without food in Building A or out in the lakeside area is a strong possibility in the next few months.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I would like to see us open up the lakes at the Building A complex for RC boats.
Say it again, the what?
I would like to see us open up the lakes at the Building A complex for these RC boats. I mean, it is an activity, and we have ample parking there. Nobody would have to illegally park. We have community noise there already, so it couldn't really be a noise violation. And we also have the pier that nobody uses, which would make an excellent spot for them to go out and use a remote. Since we're opening things, I would like to see that open for that use.
Okay, that's not part of the recommendation that we are now voting on, though.
No, I agree.
Okay, so that would have to be an agenda item, which is not an agenda item.
Can we make it an agenda item, Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry?
Can we make it an
Well,
agenda
that's why I
item?
asked at the beginning of the meeting for any additions or deletions to the agenda.
Yes, and I would have added that had I heard these people speak before. So that's why I'm asking now.
I'll ask our attorney. Can we add an agenda item later on in the meeting, after we've already said,
Mr. Chairman?
can you? No, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yes,
Do we own the lake?
yes. It's part of, it's owned by Barefoot Bay Recreation District.
Is there any government rules about the wildlife or anything?
Well, here, let me stop you all, because we're going off on a different tangent. The motion we have out there
Just
right
a
now has
question.
to do with the phased reopening discussion, and we have a motion and a second on this. What we're talking about there is a completely separate item. So let me see if we can deal with this, and then we'll go to what Mr. Loveland is talking about and what you're talking about, okay? All right?
That's fair.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
I
So
think-
any other discussion on this reopening discussion?
I think this has been thought out pretty well, and I highly encourage that we do as much outside activities. I do think we've done well with the COVID-19, but let's not poke the bear. The more we can do outside, I think is a really good plan.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, and again, we're voting on this recommendation on the reopening. All those in favor of the recommendations as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, Mr. Loveland, would you like to make a motion about your issue before we go on?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we add to the agenda the topic of the RC boating in the main lake. I'm not talking the pond, I'm talking in the main complex area, the two lakes that surround Building A.
Okay, and that would be added as item 9HI.
9I.
Is there a second to that motion? Mr. Morrissey seconded it. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm no. Is it 4-1? Mr. Nugent, you were for 2 or against? All right, 3-2, the motion passes. Okay. Number 8B, no parking on common areas. Mr. Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Last summer, then Chairman Klosky requested agenda item to discuss prohibiting parking on certain common areas, specifically back of the shopping center along the pickleball tennis court area. Eventually, staff was directed to find a towing service that would work with us, and we settled in on if we called, we would post the areas. If we called and the vehicle was there, they would tow it at no charge to Barefoot Bay. The owner of the vehicle would have to pay to get it out of impound. And if there was no vehicle when they got there, we would pay $80 service fee. We eventually got them to give us a verbal amendment that if they would not send a truck out if they could not get there within 2 hours. And the board gave us direction to go ahead. We amended the policy manual. Unfortunately, Collinson Automotive, which was the company we were working with, are unwilling to put that 2-hour clause into a formal agreement. And hence, we have not signed the towing agreement. We bring this back because we don't believe further discussions with Collinson Automotive will get us what the board wants. And we had proposed 5 different scenarios. What the recommendation is number 4, install bollards with rope fencing along the curb line, and this is along the corner of Hawthorne and Midway, where we have the worst behavior and have been unresponsive in our attempts to get the tenant or the homeowner to curb the parking of commercial vehicles in that corner. We'd like to point out we have this on Egret Circle going towards the bridge. However, it is against county right-of-way ordinance. We're not allowed to put anything in the right-of-way. So this would be basically putting it in and hoping they don't tell us to take it out. Legally, we can put it in about 10 feet from the curb at our property line, but that would just basically encourage our problem resident to park between the curb and our rope line, giving him unofficially designated parking. Staff is open to any other direction the board may have. If you want us to pursue that option, we would start with the corner and expand it until we got desired behavior, because hopefully we do the corner, the person realizes he's got to change his ways, and if not, we expand the rope line. But that's our recommendation, that the BOT authorize staff to pursue option 4 at the corner of Midway and Hawthorne as a pilot program.
Thank you. Yeah, I've heard a lot about this from people who don't like what's going on there. Is there a motion to accept staff's recommendation? No such motion? Is there a suggestion of what the BOT would like to do?
John, I thought that we had discussed this a few months back and putting up the signs, and that we had moved forward and voted to put up the signs, and the signs had been ordered at $30-some a sign or something.
The signs would come from the towing company, and we have not ordered the signs because until we sign we could always put up our own generic no parking signs, unless, my opinion is, unless you put them 3-4 feet apart, this person's going to just park behind them. The towing signs do cost $37 each, not counting the pole from this towing company. But unless the board wants us to sign the proposal and not worry about the 2-hour, gap that they had talked to us about, we haven't signed the contract. And until we sign the contract, we wouldn't order the signs.
Okay.
My concern is that with the non-compliance we've got going over there now, they're just going to run the bollards down, and we'll be throwing good money after bad. Here's a radical solution. I don't know if we could do it. What if we graveled that side and charged them just like we charged the RV parking people? Charge them to park.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm on or not. Something has to be done over there. I'm not sure I'm in favor of graveling and charging them. It's starting to look like a junkyard over there. And I don't think somebody's going to run over our signs or our bollards if we put them up. I mean, now all of a sudden you're destroying other property. Again, you don't want to do 4, but we have to come up with something because that is looking terrible over there. And it's getting worse every day because they're starting to put them all up all along there, and that trailer is there, and cars are there, and trucks are there, and pretty soon it'll be broken down vehicles.
Have we tried putting letters on the windshields, taking the first approach like that? Education first, enforcement second?
We haven't gone that far. The owner of the property is a regular attendee at the board meetings, so I'm sure she's aware of the situation.
In light of any other solution, I move we select option 4 on a pilot basis.
I'll second.
That was a motion and a second, was it? Was it a motion and a second by Mr. Loveland? Okay, any further discussion? I know it's a tough one, but I just think we have to do something because in addition to, again, everybody says there's a lot of stuff on Facebook about things, but the comments I've had or letters I've had in the last few weeks have been about the parking over there. People just don't like it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
is it possible to get a variance for these signs so they can be enforced by the sheriff's department?
I don't know. It's something they could look into doing something, but I guess if we go with the recommendation Mr. Gruno just made, at least it's a start, and they get the idea that they're not supposed to park, and we see where we go. It's a start anyway, and we may have to go and do something further, but maybe it won't work. As we go on, it could be, Any other comments, questions? So we have a recommendation to accept number 4 on the list, install bollards and rope fencing along the curbing in Hope River County, is okay with it. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business, request for forgiveness of debt and release of liens, 908 Cashew Circle. Mr. Coffey.
Mr. Chairman, staff has been approached by the new owner of 908 Cashew Circle, a vacant lot that was purchased off tax deed sale. The $4,700 represents the majority lot mows since 2016 and roughly $50 for lien fees. While staff, especially with the financial situation the district's looking at in the next several years, does not want to just give away money, the fact that the neighborhood revitalization program is effectively ceased because of the charter cap and rising property values, staff recommends the board approve this request for the waiver of the fees in the spirit of the NRP to encourage a new home to be placed on the lot. Mr. Armington is here if you have questions.
I had a discussion about this with Cliff this morning prior to the meeting, and along with some other things. And two things I guess I didn't know, and I'm not sure we all do know this. This lien, as we say it here, is simply put on by staff, correct? This is a lien put on by us. It's not a legal lien. It's not something put on through legal.
No, there was initially a violation case for tall grass, and staff started cutting it, and
Okay.
the old owner, they weren't paying their taxes. They didn't care about paying their bill for the grass cut.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, there's been a recommendation made to waive $4,768.32 in liens for lot mows and administrative costs. What is the address here? At 908 Cashew Circle. Is there a motion to accept that recommendation? Mr. Nugent made a motion. Is there a second? I will second it for discussion. Discussion. Questions, comments?
How did we get to this point whereby the new owner didn't know there was a lien on the property?
The new owner did know there's a lien on the property when they get this, but what they're saying is that they were not responsible for that, so they're going to buy it and put a new home on to upgrade our neighborhoods, and why should they be held liable? Again, we have mowing costs involved at a set fee for mowing. You have to remember that. And it's like, okay, we're trying to get new homes on that lot where it's been such a problem in the past. And I have the same question and concerns, and it's a little different than if we, in my opinion, it's a little different than if we had a situation where a home was brought to legal and we sent it through the court system and we started paying $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for legal costs associated with some kinds of things like that. This is simply our own mowing costs and no other costs really involved, really.
Well, I did get a couple phone calls on this, and the same thing that I usually bring up is I don't like to set precedent. And I'm afraid that if we forgive this one, we're going to have more folks coming in and saying, I would like to be forgiven also. That being said, I 1,000% support the NRP program, and that's why I'm glad to be the BOT member on that board. But I think this is going down the wrong road, and I really think that we should at least stick with some sort of a charge.
And again, as to precedents, remember, there's really no such thing as a precedent. A precedent is if you refuse to vote differently at a later time. Precedents are not legal. They don't mean anything. So, again, good point. Other questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll do a voice vote or a roll call vote to see where we are. All those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. Mr. Nugent? Mr. Morrissey? No. Mr. Bruno?
No.
Mr. Loveland?
No.
Mr. Mino says yes. The motion is defeated 3-2. Expansion of Micro RV storage lot update. Mr. Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. At the February 9th workshop, Trustee Nugent requested a discussion about acquiring a approximately 2-acre parcel land immediately south of the RV storage lot on Fleming Grant Road. Consensus of the board at the workshop was for staff to contact the property owner to determine if she's interested in selling the property. We have made multiple phone calls, left messages every time, and sent a certified letter that was signed for and have no response. We have done our due diligence that the property owner appears to be, not elderly, owns her own property that she lives at, has been paying the taxes regularly. It appears to us that she's not interested in selling. So staff brought this back for direction if you wanted us to continue to try to contact her or set this issue aside for now and move on to something else.
Questions, comments? Direction?
I think we should always be interested, but I would say put a pause on it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If she's not interested in selling, I wouldn't keep beating that dead horse.
Other comments, gentlemen? I'm kind of in agreement with that, I guess. I mean, if she wants to sell it, she'll sell it to us, but if she's not interested in responding, no sense wasting a lot of Mr. Coffey's time.
Mr. Chairman, we're not really in a position to spend the money anyway, so we can put it on the shelf.
Sure. Mr. Nugent?
I would say put it on hold.
Okay. Mr. Coffey, that's it? Just kind of put it on hold. Where are we now? Discussion of Florida Department of Transportation SR5 US 1 project.
At a previous meeting, a trustee brought up the fact that he had received a notice about future project improvement along US 1, and Ms. Brown, our district clerk, checked into this, and it's approximate, to summarize the information, it's approximately a $10 million improvement project. For those who are critical of Barefoot Bay's design costs on projects, the design cost on a $10 million road project was $1.1 million, so roughly 10%. This will go from the Indian River line up to the Goat Creek Bridge in Grant Valcaria. It will have pedestrian crossing, sidewalk construction, guardrail, median improvements, and two things that improved signalization, specifically at Miko Road and Barefoot Boulevard. Two things that will potentially impact residents that are good to know is they will be working in front of our pier in the lagoon, which will be closed, they say 5 days, to make that more ADA accessible to our ramp. And they will be closing the southbound right-hand turn lane into Barefoot Boulevard. Now, next time y'all are out driving south on US 1, as you get ready to turn into Barefoot Bay, and you see the sign that is the fire station to the right. Look a little further to the right, and you'll see a pipe there. In my opinion, the reason they're closing that turn lane is to extend it further. They would be blocking access to another piece of property that has been planned for a while, because there is a pipe there to give them access over the drainage. So while not ideal, the new signalization probably will help access in and out of Barefoot Boulevard. Ms. Brown has contact information with a man named John D. I'm sure he gets a lot of John Deere tractor jokes. This project will start later this year, and we'll have updates as they arrive.
Again, this was the guy that they'd contacted us as trustees. I had thought possibly they were closing that right-hand lane because when people are coming northbound and they have the green arrow going, there are still a lot of people who turn right. I thought that might be a little bit of a safety issue too. People you have the green arrow, and as you start turning, all of a sudden the guy in the right lane decides he's going because he can turn right on a stop sign. And so I think it's probably had part of that too, Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you for the information. Amended fiscal year 21 employee pay and classification plan. Mr. Coffey.
At the March 25th BOT budget workshop, there was consensus of the board to move the management analyst position that has been budgeted as part of the special district services contract out of the contract line of the budget and into a direct hire position to be a Barefoot Bay employee. Since that was not anticipated last December when we adopted our pay plan, Resolution 2021-04 will add management analyst at a classification of E34. There's no other changes to the pay plan. Staff recommends BOT approve resolution amending the pay plan once it is read by legal counsel.
Is there a motion to accept that recommendation?
I'll move to accept.
Second.
Loveland moved, second. Mr. Gruno. Discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, you got to read the motion first. I'm sorry. I had the resolution looking at it. I forgot to read it.
No problem. Resolution 2021-04 states a resolution of the Barefoot Bay Recreation District superseding and replacing Resolution 2020-15 and adopting an amended employee pay and classification plan for fiscal year 2020 to 2021, providing for severability, providing for conflict with other provisions, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Again, this is just a single item that is changing in the plan. Again, I'll ask for the motion after now. Is there a motion to accept that resolution?
Yes, I make a motion that we accept the resolution.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Loveland, second. Mr. Gruno. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Adoption of amended policy manual revising the investment procedures and building a kitchen usage fees.
At the same February 9th workshop, there were consensus to add 3 changes to the policy manual. This resolution 2021-05 will add 2 of them. the transfer of funds between investment accounts and fees for the use of building a kitchen. The third area, which deals with the use of pools related to kids swim, will be at a future board meeting. Basically, the policy manual in its entirety is attached. I have cut and pasted pertinent sections into the agenda memo. Regarding the financial policies, just for folks who may not been here or watched that workshop, staff still will not have the ability to sign checks or to spend money without the board authorization. This allows a mechanism that Mr. Henley, with my approval and a quick notification to the Board of Trustees, can move money between non-interest bearing accounts and interest bearing accounts to try to squeeze every last penny out of the banks we can. Staff recommends approval after the resolution's read.
Could you read that resolution?
Resolution 2021-05 states a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Barefoot Bay Recreation District providing for the adoption of a revision to the policy manual adopted May 8th, 2009, as subsequently amended through November 13th, 2020, providing for conflicts and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the resolution?
I make that motion.
Mr. Nugent moved. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Morrissey. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Uh, 9F, FDEP permitting service for beach restroom project.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. If you will indulge me, I will weave in an update on the beach project
Please,
with
yes.
this agenda item. Last year, staff had, through an RFP process and board approval, procured the manufacture of a prefabricated concrete restroom. Subsequent, during the site plan development process, we had learned that in 2018, the coastal construction line moved, and also construction elements of codes had changed that suggested in some aspects that 40-foot pilings would be needed to put the structure in the ground. Mr. Reppinger, myself, and the design team, through a lot of phone calls and conference calls, believe we're by mid next week we'll have resolution to how to proceed. There's the design team are having the brain trust of all engineers available, review a couple last code sections to come to a consensus. There's two paths forward. The first path is without the pilings in the design, which we would go straight into soliciting bids for the work and then take it to permitting. If the consensus is the pilings may be required, we would go into requesting the variance from the county on that. That's the building, Brevard County side. The other side is there's a separate Florida Department of Environmental Protection permitting process that deals largely with the dunes and seaward areas. This proposal from TLC is for a third-party company called Coastal Tech GEC to do the permitting for us, and that's the amount $9,750. This is a needed step that if we don't do this, even if we get the okay from the building department, we can't commence the project. So staff recommends approval of the proposal from TLC for FDEP permitting services in the amount of $9,750.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve that recommendation? Second by Mr. Morrissey. A second? Mr. Gruno. Discussion? Questions? This thing just gets bigger and bigger as we go along. It's all needed and necessary. We understand that, but it just is
That's exactly what I was thinking. We are up to our necks on this one. We don't have a choice but to swim.
I know, we don't.
We've got to swim
Like,
through
this
it.
is not something that we have a choice about saying no about. It's either get this or you don't put it in.
Yeah.
So,
And we're too invested. We've got too much money invested.
sure.
We don't need another boat anchor sitting around, so let's move with it.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dates for town hall meeting.
Mr. Chairman, at the last meeting, the consensus of the board was to start holding quarterly town hall meetings to provide an opportunity for the public to raise questions, discuss issues directly with the board as a group outside of regular board meetings. We have a list of possible dates and times for April, July, and October. If the board could direct us which ones they want, we'll get them on the calendar, and we'll get advertising the April one starting next Monday in the peak of the week.
Suggestions?
Well, I think we should divide them up equally between night meetings and day meetings. And it would be nice to have maybe a standard, second Thursday of the month type rotation so they're not all over the place. But I would go half day meetings, half night meetings.
Other comments, questions?
I would agree with that.
I agree with that.
Okay, so if we did that, we would go with Thursday, April 29, 1 to 3. Let's go with Thursday, July 29. Do that as a, 9/11, 1 to 3? No, or a 7 to 9, rather?
Yeah.
Do it as 7 to 9. And, okay, Thursday, July 29, 7 to 9. And October 28th, 9 to 11. Sound good?
Yep.
Do we need a motion on that, or is it just, okay? I don't believe in consensuses anymore, remember, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so our meetings will be on Thursday, April 29 at 1 o'clock, Thursday, July 29th at 7 p.m., Thursday, October 28th at 9 a.m. Okay. New item 9H, discussion of legal services. Actually, it fits right in there. As you know, we had a discussion today and a difference of opinion as to, and please, this doesn't involve you, so just bear with us, as to whether or not legal representation should be here at this message today, at this meeting today. Hold on, let me get to my message. With that, we had a voice consensus of this board that we did not need legal services to be at this meeting. Number one, because of costs, and number two, there was nothing really had to be discussed. Resolutions can be read by anyone. Instead, Mr. Reppinger talked to one other trustee, and with that, he changed his mind and came back and said, as he represents the board collectively, he was going to do this and have someone come to the meeting. Since then, I sent him an email where I totally disagree with him. I disagree that that is not how you collectively represent a board, by taking the opinion of one person. I've talked about it. We do consensus items all the time, and in this case, he said, well, consensus doesn't mean anything now. If consensus doesn't mean anything at that item, consensus doesn't mean anything with anything that we have consensus on. So this is a conflict of it. So with that, I don't want to get into it. We're not going to do any voting or anything today. With that, I've told him that in the future, I intend to have the board do, as an agenda item, a discussion of the role of the attorney and as it relates to the Board of Trustees themselves, the use of the attorney for services and by who that use is, who requires that use, the services gained from our attorney, and for what the service is provided, what we pay for that, and the cost associated with our legal. We have Mr. Reppinger does an excellent job for us. We have nothing wrong with that. There are things that are on both sides of this issue that I think are part of our fault, part of staff's fault, and part of Mr. Reppinger's fault for the way this goes. As we're in our budget crunch, We paid $112,000 a year for 2019, $134,000 a year for 2020, and so far 3 months this year, we're over $15,000 a month for legal services. I think, and it is not Mr. Reppinger's fault for that, it's not a fault. I think we simply have to look at how we use legal services, what the cost is, what we're getting for that service, and especially his relation to Board of Trustees members. As we discussed today with Cliff and I, he is there for legal advice and legal opinion, not as a BOT member. And I just throw that out, that I intend to bring this up to a future agenda item to discuss these issues. Comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have a question for Mr. Coffey. Mr. Coffey, I got a call today from one of the residents about Pool 2. You want to know why it's not open. And Pool 3, I was told it was closed also. Now I understand that was probably just because of the heater, all right? I'm presuming it's online. He would like to know what happened with the inspection. It was only supposed to be the health department that we knew of. So all of a sudden the
With all due
inspection.
regard, Mr. Morrissey, I think we're discussing legal services.
Yeah, let's go to legal services.
We're discussing legal services at this point, and I think that may be brought up under trustee comments.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, no problem.
And we will make sure we do that under trustee comments, okay? This is simply the agenda item we added there, see? No, it's just the agenda item we added.
Chairman
9H.
Mino,
Yeah.
I think one of the things that the pandemic taught us is sometimes we have to take a stop, look at what we're doing, and see what's the best practices to go forward. And I think legal is one of those that, we've been doing it a certain way for so long, maybe we're missing something. So I would strongly agree with you about putting that on the agenda.
Other comments, questions?
Yeah, I'm for putting that on the agenda, and I'm for having full discussion. I would also like to see how or present how the legal fees are sliced and diced. Because if you look at the amount that we pay to have our attorney here for our meetings, it is a little less than 10% of our entire legal bill. And we have referenced, if I go back in notes, to see how many times we reference our attorney with a question or with clarification, I think that it has served a valid purpose, and I think it's served a valuable purpose. If we look at the number of dollars that we have shaved off by forgiving, and we still pay the attorney bill for it, we're looking at, we've got, I think, something like $40,000 out there pending just on DOR violations that we may or may not take a vote on and go, we forgive it.
And that's the kind of thing I think, in
That's what
addition
we
to
need to
these, that
look
we
at.
have to look and discuss. And
I
that is
agree.
not our legal's fault. Remember that.
No,
That's
I
not
know, I
legal's
agree.
fault.
I agree.
That's our fault. That's not our fault even. That's the way the system is going and being run. That's
Right.
all I'm saying too. So make sure we make that point out. This is not legal's fault. They're doing an excellent job in what we're telling them to do. It's a question about what we tell them to do, what we want them to do, and how we have them do it.
And I think that if we're going to, and in looking at what our legal bills are and how we manage what on our end, how we use it, I think that is necessary. What I don't want to do is I don't want us to take a service that may be of higher value than another service. So maybe it's we stop writing off all of the DOR legal fees and we keep our attorney at our meetings. We just need to look at it without making a blanket, no, we're not going to have an attorney here.
Yeah, and I agree. And the only reason I had said no today was because I knew there were no agenda items here that I thought we were going to need legal opinions on, and so why pay someone $200 or $300 to be at a meeting? And so I agree, you need legal. I absolutely agree you need legal when you need advice on things and you need to go to them. However, having dealt with legal like this for years and years and years, there's always a situation when you can say, this may be a case for legal, we can check, we'll table this for now and we'll go back to it and get a question and get an answer to it. So in certain instances, it isn't just that you need legal or someone's going to sue you. Everyone wants to sue you. They all think they got an attorney in their pocket. What you do instead is you say, fine, here's the address of our attorney, let us know how it goes. So legal is not a thing where you have to be so afraid of everything you say and do that you have to have somebody there holding your hand when you do it. So I think they do a great job. He does the things we want him to do. There are a couple things that I don't like that goes on, but that's minor, and I just think we have to have the kind of discussion we've been saying here to make sure we're all using that service the way it should be used. Any other questions? Any other comments, questions? Okay. Next agenda item is 9I, RC Boats, Sebring. Mr. Whoever said put that on, Mr. Loveland?
Yes. I think it's important that, this has been festering now for almost a week, and it really is a benign situation. All we need to do is we have the recreational facilities. All we need to do is provide an appropriate place, I believe. And I think that I personally would like to see our main lakes up there used for activities, whether that's kayaking or these RC boats or whatever. Everything is allowed there. And I don't want our homeowners to think that we're so restrictive, that the community is so restrictive, you can't go and have simple, clean fun. And that is a common noise area. It's not, whereas I can understand from the pond down at the end of East Lake, where that's more of a tranquil, more of a reserve area, because you've got the preserve back there with the woods, and people enjoy that bird watching and whatever else they do when they walk around the lake. But we also have a very common area with two lakes in it that have the noise of tennis, the noise of pickleball, shuffleboard, the pool, music, and I think that we could accommodate our RC boat enthusiasts by saying, why don't you come up there and utilize those bodies of water with that activity. It doesn't add to the noise level. It doesn't add any more than what the lawnmowers are going to add for daily business. We're an active community, and we have an active area that tolerates a level of noise that people in that area are not going to be disturbed by, because they already have the noise of all those things. And I just think that we as a board, it would be the right thing to do for us to make that compromise and provide that area for the use of this. And when I read our deed of restrictions, there's nothing in there about this particular brand of activity. And I believe the intent of our deed of restrictions was written with me going out there with a bass boat with a motor on it. And so I think this is just a harmless thing, and I think that if we allow it to grow legs and become a problem, it certainly will. And I think that we can avoid that, and we can make our community a little bit better and a little bit friendlier and a little bit easier to live in if we can just make this decision today to say go have it, but have it up there where you can legally park and you have access to the lakes.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. I think it's a better idea in the big lakes behind over in that area. However, whether it be staff or someone, I think there probably needs to be a few limitations. This device that I saw yesterday is about the sound of a weed whacker or a leaf blower. You certainly would not want that out on the lake 7 in the morning. So I think there needs to be a couple guidelines when it could be out on the lake, but I think the lake is a fabulous idea.
Can we stop right now? Would you put that on for us, please?
We'll bring that back with the kids swim in the policy manual.
No, I thought you had the thing you could run it. You can't run that.
The
tape.
The video?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I think 7 o'clock in the morning, that big mosquito.
And I'm up to this point, and I understand your comments. I really do. Up to this point, I'm not in favor of it because of noise and because people around there who did not like the noise. I just came back from 2 days up at Sebring playing on golf courses, and I don't know if you go to Sebring or not, but 2 days of golf courses and hearing those race cars going around literally drove me nuts for 2 days. Now, I don't want to have a house over there sitting on that lake, and you're talking about one boat being in there. What is going to happen when you put 20 boats in there at the same time? What is going to happen when you put 30 boats in there at the same time? We're not talking about just one now. You're making it open. So again, I guess I'd like to have them put this video on if you would and get a better idea. And I'm only thinking of people who live there who don't like the noise.
And do we know if this is gas or electric?
I'm sorry?
Do we know if this remote control boat is gas or electric?
I don't know. It's
Okay,
gas,
thank
I
you.
believe.
There is a difference in that, I believe.
Have you all ever been to Sebring and know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
I mean, it is just a thing where you just want to go, my God, stop. And you're not even there at Sebring. You're out at a golf course somewhere.
I was at Bristol and couldn't hear for 2 days.
When I was at Sebring watching the races, those golfers cussing their
I
poor
know they
shots
do.
were annoying.
And yelling for the whole time. Enough? Further discussion will go. Two things. One, just so you all know, too, and I know they think our administration and our staff just come down and are really strict and all these things. I was in the office when this first came up, and with Mr. Coffey having a meeting, and we thought at that time it was just a little toy model boat or something that someone wanted to run. And we didn't know it was this kind of a boat. And I can remember Mr. Coffey saying, we're not going to get somebody for just a little toy boat being in the water. Of course they're allowed to do this, where some of this misconception came about they were told they could do it, not understanding that it was this type of boat. So it's to his credit that he was going to allow this because he thought at the time it was just a little toy boat. Again, with that, I'm not sure. I'm not going to be for this because, number one, it may be something we want to do, but I don't think I decide an agenda item like this because I know nothing about all these people you're talking about other than what people came here to say, and I don't make decisions based on because 30 people show up and I don't know what everybody else said. So I don't go on Facebook and I don't read that stuff, so I would have to know more about this. But again, this is open. You want to make some type of motion, but I'm not against these boats. I'm not against it, but I'm just not ready to do it today.
Well, I don't come to these meetings to make a decision either, Mr. Chairman. I think you know that. I've done my homework. And in doing that homework, I had to see both sides of the coin. I had to find out both sides of the story, which neither side is really super clear to me. I don't understand the trespassing. I don't understand you have permission, you don't have permission. I did want to find out between the difference of electric and the gas, and the example that we have is of a gas. I understand that the gas motor is a lot louder than the electric. So when I came in, I didn't go by just these 30. These 30 were kind of the tipping point for me. I mean, it was the probably
just
25
so you know,
phone
Randy, I've been
calls.
gone for 3 days, so today is the first I'm getting all of this.
And
So that's
understandable.
why I don't know any other side.
Yeah,
I've been gone for
understandable.
3 days. I just got back yesterday.
So when I came in here, I didn't come in. I didn't come in with any type of thought on this or decision thought on this. But these people did help me and understanding. They were respectful. The approach that they came here with, I thought was very good, and I thought that they were being very reasonable. Now, having said that, I think that I'm always for trying to find some place where we can accommodate people to practice whatever it is. Practice your golf swing, practice your whatever it is that you want to do in the Bay, as long as it's respectful and courteous of other neighbors. Now, I agree the noise factor may be a bit of a factor. We'll find out when we open karaoke out there on that stage how that noise factor goes. So there's always going to be a pro and there's always going to be a con to things. I wanted to put this back on because I really felt for this audience and for the people at home that it needed discussion, and whether we want to take an action on it today or not is neither here nor there. I would love to see us give it a trial, and we had the same thing with Zumba, and it took a little bit of a meeting, and it took a little bit of some discussion with homeowners and management and trustees. But I think that we came to resolutions. I'm about let's come to resolutions rather than stand on the black and white side of things and just fight.
Other comments? I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Nugent.
I would like to see this as an agenda item in a future meeting. I think as an agenda item, it's posted in advance so that those that live around that part of the lake where this may be a possibility have an opportunity to come and vent their feelings towards it as well.
And again, I guess that's what I was trying to say too. Is I'm not ready to vote on this today because, again, I appreciate all their comments. They are very, very good, sincere comments, and I understand them. But that's the only thing I know about this, and it was not an agenda item. That's why I didn't. When I put my agenda item on, there was no motions, no resolution, no nothing. It was simply to alert you that we're going to do this. Mr. Morrissey, any comments, questions?
Well, I'm not totally against this, but I think the noise level is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I thought it was electric boat. I didn't know it was gas. But no, I'm not against having something like that here.
You can make any motion you want. Again, those who wanted it on the agenda, I would be in favor of saying, can we wait until, and I know the audience won't like that, can we wait till the next meeting so it can be put on as an agenda item so that we can have those who have a different opinion be here, because it was not an agenda item. People didn't know it was coming on here.
That's correct.
And we can find out more as trustees, both sides of this. Again, when I heard this thing here, the first thing I thought of was, my God, what if there are 20 boats out there? So it does come into your consideration, especially when it's being brought to you at the first time.
Well, I think hearing two of them is pretty loud.
Yeah. So,
but I think maybe we can look into the ramifications from the health department, not the health department, marine department, for regulations for the environment. There might be something there that we don't know about. So maybe we can look into that. If maybe it's a restriction to you can't have any motorized gasoline on the waterway because of the water. You know what I mean? It's got to be. Might be something there, and we don't want to say hello. Yeah, go ahead and do it, and then find out we can't do it.
A motion that I would support would be, and I'm not going to make it, but a motion that I would support would be to direct staff to come up with some type of a plan as to possibly days, times, the least times when it would make the least use. Have it put on the agenda and discuss it and take action at the next meeting.
I think that's
fair.
fair.
I know it's a couple of weeks away, but
I think that's fair, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate you allowing me to bring this back for discussion. I think that it was important enough to have this discussion, and I do appreciate that.
Can I move that staff be directed to research this, bring it back to a future meeting?
Is there a second? We'll have them come up with some kind of a plan, and we'll, again, take action at the next meeting. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second
Mr. Morrissey
that.
seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Again, I apologize to all of you out there. It's a couple weeks away, but I just can't vote on something that's put on the agenda the day I get to the meeting. So, Okay.
Are we able to speak
I'm sorry.
any more on that?
I'm sorry?
Are we able to speak any more since it was open, it was put on the somewhat of an agenda?
No, we're not going to. You can talk at the next meeting, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yes, yeah, not now you can't, but the next meeting, absolutely, it's audience participation. Again, no problem, as much as whatever you need to do at audience participation. It's open to you, yes. Thank you. Okay, manager's report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, trustees, resident relations, on the 30th of March, there were 37 items approved at the ARC committee. Next ARC meeting is next Tuesday in this building at 9 a.m. On the 23rd of March, there were 12 cases on the violations committee. 6 were found in violations. 3 came in compliance prior to the meeting. 3 were tabled. Today's meeting was canceled as the majority of the 13 cases came into compliance prior to the meeting. Next violation meeting is April 23rd in this building at 10 a.m. Food and beverage updates. Planning for the big 50th anniversary celebration of Barefoot Bay is underway. There's contact information available if you would like to participate as an outdoor activity or ethnic regional club, and start getting your golf carts and bicycles decorated for the big parade. Kickoff will be July 3rd at 11 a.m. Flyers will be posted next week. 19th hole is a weekday box lunch special now going on through September. $5 box lunch, typically half sandwich, chips and cookie, from 11 to 1 with purchase of a drink. The exception is Wednesday. Wednesdays is Dollar Dog Days all summer long. Great music continues. This Saturday is TC and SAS Lakeside. However, Joe Reed notified us that they are having to cancel Sunday due to health reasons and due to the late nature and the weather forecast. We are not trying to reschedule that. So Sundays is canceled. And as provided in the project tracker that you get at the first each month, staff did solicit quotes, and we selected a vendor for the Building A awning on the terrace opposite the lounge, and that project's going forward. Mr. Getz and his folks, busy as always. They're starting to get quotes and bids for all the minor balance of FY21 projects, installed the handrail outside of D&E to help folks get in and out easier, and I won't read everything. One thing, if you're back of the lounge, there's been a long-term puddling of water back there, and now we're in the dry season. They started pulling up some concrete to put a French drain in there, and also did some work down at the softball field, doing some stormwater maintenance on Marlin Circle, and ordered more beware of alligators for East Lake per request of homeowners. Mr. Reppinger probably glad he missed this meeting, being a University of Florida alumni. Might make him sad. Water coolers and ice chests are put back out on the golf course. They are posted. Use at your own risk due to the nature of them. Mr. Cruz is starting to work on quotes for the FERDAP grant program. And the Junior Golf COVID-19 Safe Style Camp is coming up in a few months. And at the request of some residents through a couple trustees, Mr. Cruz and I are working with Mr. Reppinger to do an exhaustive review of the CHITS program. And when we get that back, probably be in a couple weeks, I'll share that with y'all. General information, Pool 1 heater update. There was a problem with the circuit board on the heater. We had our repairman come out. He identified it. He didn't have the part. We found the part online. We ordered it. We put it in. The gas man's there. It won't work on Pool 1 heater. We take it over to Pool 2 heater. It works fine. Sometimes like children, the parts are. So we sent that back. The gas man still has a part on order. When that gets in, that is the fix of Pool 1 heater. It's not the whole heater. I know I had someone in my office saying $40,000 to fix that heater. No, it's closer to $400 probably. The Pool 2 pit replacement project. Yes, there were 6 items identified by the Health Department inspector. The problem is the Health Department approved the plans and the pool pit was built according to the plans. The inspector, in my opinion, was a little picky. that's part of dealing with inspectors. They have leeway to interpret things. So there is no follow-up inspection done once the punch list items are done, but for historical sake, and I think the vendor is making a good call on this, he is having his engineer mark up the plans per the inspector's direction and getting the health department to approve them so we don't get caught in a catch-22 down the road of the pool pit being in a condition that's not the way the approved plans are. So we're hoping within the next week or so those few items can get done. We have the ability to open it up the very next day. Water quality is good. No one is happy. This project did start in last autumn. I know folks have moved here new and stuff. The rumor that it's been closed for a year for repairs is false. It originally was kept closed when we reopened from the COVID shutdown because back then nobody who had a crystal ball on the economy was willing to share it with myself or this board, and we were concerned how the pandemic would impact our revenue. So that was one of the ways we were trying to save some money. And then we moved into the repair projects once we had a vendor lined up to do the work. Building A projects, since the last meeting, we've had more kitchen equipment delivered, concrete floor has been pad for the walk-in cooler, and the cuts have been poured. Assembly entrance wall is going up. That's the picture to below that I'll show you in a moment. The old HVAC access doorway tower it was blocked over. It's now been stuccoed over. Where you see the ladder in that picture is part of where the walk-in cooler will be, and that's why we had to move that door. And scheduled for next week is the start of the drywall insulation repair, final ductwork, drop ceilings, hood installation. And there's a picture of the new entrance area into the kitchen. This will be right in here will be where the double doors go in. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, Mr. City Manager? Let's go to, do we have an attorney's report?
Hi, everyone. My name is Krista Runty. Sorry, I'm not sure if this is working. But I know I haven't gotten the opportunity to meet a lot of you yet, but I've been working with Cliff for years now since he was back at Rossway Swan. So I've been behind the scenes. I'm familiar with what's going on, and I look forward to getting to know you all better. As far as my report, really nothing substantive. We gave our last DOR report before the last meeting, and the intent is to have another one before the upcoming meeting. And on that DOR report, we will have updates with some cases that we have set summary judgment hearings in. So those cases are moving along and things are looking good.
Thank you, and glad to have you here. Thank you. Trustee reports or remarks, Mr. Loveland.
I'm good.
Mr. Gruno.
Got two little things. Future agenda item, maybe we can ask the county to do a traffic safety study out there on Micco by our golf cart crossings. A lot more traffic out there. Looks like it's getting a little bit more hazardous. And I don't know what the solution would be, but I would think if the board asked the county for a traffic analysis, that might be a start. Second item I have, and this is for all the folks out there, the American Legion Auxiliary will be having a ice cream giveaway tomorrow over at the Veterans Gathering Center. That's right next to where the water department is. And this is for children. And there's 3 types of ice cream that's going to be available from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. So if you got kids, grandkids that are below 16, head on over there to the Gathering Center. There'll be an ice cream truck over there between 1 and 3. And partake.
Mr. Morrissey.
I just have one thing. For the residents living on Midway to Micco Road into the Barefoot Bay Boulevard, it's a plea from the people that live in that roadway that they adhere to the speed limit. It's 25 miles an hour. It has become a raceway. There's been some accidents down at the end of the road in Midway and Miko. The children walk, the school buses there. The people ride their go-karts. People walk down there with their dogs. It's a shame that people have to be angry enough to yell at them to slow down when they should know better. As a senior or a visitor or anyone that's living in the Bay, I'm sure that if it was your place, you'd be very upset, as everybody else is, because I'm getting a lot of phone calls. The police have been notified. They're coming down to set up radar and other areas. They're looking to put maybe signs down there. So I would suggest that maybe everybody could get together and just adhere to that speed limit.
Yeah.
There are speed limits in the Bay of 25 miles an hour, and side streets, okay, are lower. Please adhere to it.
Thank you, sir.
I
Okay.
don't want to make any more phone calls.
Yeah.
Or get
And did you get your information you needed, or you answered pool two question you had, right?
I just
Mr.
have
Coffey?
to. I just have to say that because they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Construction people as well, and commercial vehicles, they're the same. They don't. I guess they can't see and read the signs. Maybe their lip has to be lowered or something. I don't know.
All right,
Please,
thank you. Maybe
adhere to
what
it.
we could do is,
Thank you.
we could get Mr. Kluski and have him get one of those orange and green vests, and he could stand out there with a sign to flag people down, maybe. He has nothing to do since he's not on the board anymore, so. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Nugent.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, again, the comments, the only comment I have, I want to remind people, I know people get upset about this trespass business, but remember that is a mechanism you use when you need to stop something or remove someone from an area. It's simply saying we don't want you here, therefore it's the property we make rules for, therefore it's a no trespass. So I thank you all. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make that motion.
Mr. Nugent moved, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.